Hello friends and subscribers, welcome back to Daniel Rosehill Plus here on YouTube. My name is Daniel Rosehill and today I'm going to do a video about how to connect your podcast to YouTube simply using the RSS feed and YouTube's relatively new podcasting feature. However, I'm also going to offer a few thoughts from a marketing perspective on the pros and cons of doing this. Like I think a lot of creators for the past few years, I've been really focused on YouTube because I don't really have time to operate an active YouTube channel. That's my main YouTube called Daniel Rosehill, as well as run a podcast. What I have been doing is taking the audio component of my videos and putting those out as podcast episodes, which is a fairly low effort strategy if you're looking to extend the reach of your videos a bit. After all, video is video and audio. So if the audio quality of your videos is good enough and it's something that can be suitable as a podcast, such as a talking head video, a bit like this one, then you can absolutely just extract the audio and perhaps add an intro or outro and then put that out as a podcast episode and get more views. But what if you want to go in the other direction and you're trying to use your audio somehow as a video, right? The audio being the podcast. My prediction is that we're going to see AI really step into the space because AI is already absolutely amazing at going from kind of everything to everything. Like it's pretty easy to use AI generative video tools to put in some prompts and generate video. And I expect that if this doesn't already exist, and I think there's a good chance it does, in the future, we're going to be able to say, hey, here's my podcast. Here's an idea for accompanying stock imagery. Please, AI tool, put these things together. But a less imaginative tool is just to take a static image and put that as the image and your podcast audio as the audio. That static image could be the episode cover art, like the cover art you've developed for that particular podcast episode. It could be something a little bit more advanced, like an image slideshow, or it could just be the podcast cover art and every single episode of the podcast looks the same. I've always thought that it was kind of an abuse of YouTube's amazing free hosting to just upload static image podcasts to their platform, but I've recently seen some help tutorials where they're telling people basically how to do exactly that. So I don't know how YouTube manages to offer such an incredible amount of cloud storage available for free, but they're pretty happy to take in your videos, even if that video is just a complete static image that does not move for like an hour. The process of taking podcasts and putting them onto YouTube always felt a little bit stupid though to me. You have to literally go into a video editor and add your static image file and add your audio and render that out to a video that isn't really a video. If you're a little bit more technically savvy, you can use FFmpeg, the command line tool, and you can do this over the command line. But either way, you're going to have to do this on your local machine and then upload this for every single episode to YouTube. It's pretty time consuming as a process. Relatively recently, YouTube introduced the podcasting feature, and now you can do this much more intelligently. You can actually just connect an RSS feed wherever your podcast is being hosted to YouTube, create the corresponding podcast on YouTube, and you can automatically have YouTube create new videos as you release podcast episodes. In this quick video, I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do that. One thing to know at the outset though is that when I looked at the YouTube terms and conditions, it said that it doesn't allow advertising, like ads baked into the podcast, which makes a lot of sense because if you have a monetized YouTube channel, YouTube is going to be injecting ads into the videos so long as they're monetized. Now, if you already have ads that are in there, you're going to have two sets of ads running, and that's just going to be super annoying to whoever is trying to watch your podcast or listen to your podcast on YouTube. In any event, here's the steps that I followed to add my podcast to YouTube and to connect it to my RSS feed. So let me talk about how to go about creating a podcast in YouTube. So there's kind of two ways to do it. One is kind of the new way. I'm going to call it the new way, like the smart way, that if you have your podcast already set up and running and you haven't already gone about like uploading videos to YouTube and calling that part of your podcast, which I've only done actually once. So I'm relatively ready to migrate to the better methodology, and I'll show you guys what I mean. I have set up here the Daniel Rosehill podcast, and this also exists as its own self-standing podcast, but I created a podcast with my own cover art because I just uploaded a video, and then I added that to, you're able to create a podcast through the playlist creation dialog box, right? Like when you're creating content on YouTube. So I did that, and now this video was added manually, but I flagged this as belonging to the podcast. But I'm going to be transitioning today to the smarter method. If you want to start just creating a podcast on YouTube the smart way by pulling in an RSS feed, and having YouTube automatically handle the video creation process, go to the top right, and then you want to go for new podcast, and you can select from the relevant options here. So I would go for submit RSS feed, and then it will begin pulling in your RSS feed. So there's a few ways to do it. You have the flexibility of starting first uploading videos and then switching over to an RSS feed ingestion, or you can start your podcast with RSS feed ingestion. I would recommend, if you're watching this video and you haven't yet added your podcast to YouTube, then start with submit RSS feed and put in your RSS feed, and you can skip this whole manual process and it will be shortly confined to history. But what if you already have your podcast and you're ready to move over to RSS? Okay, wonderful. So firstly, I'm going to go back to my podcast itself by clicking on details. And you have at the bottom here, RSS settings. It says, if you connect an RSS feed to your podcast, the new episodes added to this RSS feed will automatically be uploaded to your podcast on YouTube. You may also choose to upload old episodes from the RSS feed. Wonderful. So I'm going to click on connect an RSS feed. And this is actually, I mean, usually I feel like people just skip over all these terms and conditions, but this one's actually worth reading because what they're offering is actually pretty amazing. As in, YouTube are offering to store duplicate. They're going to do this audio to video conversion process and store copies of your podcast on their servers. So it's worth just understanding what the limitations are to that. So one term in their terms and conditions I would draw people's attention to, and these are because T&Cs are updated and whatever. This is on the 8th of January making this video. So under prohibited uses section 2.3, you're not allowed to submit podcasts. And I'm just seeing here, identify and submit any podcast that you do not own or control or are subject to exclusive licenses or contain third-party content like advertisements that you do not own control or for which you are not authorized to grant to YouTube the rights. The problem is here, if you are feeding in an RSS feed that has something like dynamic advertisement injection, that would be problematic from this perspective, as far as I can tell. So you need to be careful and by all means follow up. So I'm going to click on I agree to all the above because even though I host my podcast on Spreaker, I have disabled the advertising options on that platform to get it ready for YouTube feed ingestion. So I'm clicking on agree to that term. And then you have here submitting a podcast works differently for each, and just clarifying exactly what's going to be going on here, that for each episode in the RSS feed, you will create a static image video and upload it to your channel. So under how it works, this is important too. I would say submitting a podcast RSS to YouTube works differently than other platforms. For each episode in the RSS feed, YouTube is going to create a static image video, and they have an example here. So I'll just show you guys what that looks like, of what they're citing as an example. So this is your kind of classic podcast on YouTube. There is like no actual video here. There's just a static background and there's image. So this is actually what a lot of people have been doing for years, and YouTube have just made it like a lot easier to do that. Okay, so YouTube will create a static image video and upload it to your channel. Any changes made to an episode's title, description, or publish date will be updated on YouTube. So if you update some stuff in the metadata, you're not going to have to worry about, like on your podcast host, you're not going to worry about having to duplicate that into the descriptions of the YouTube videos created. YouTube will handle that. And YouTube may also remove any invalid characters from titles or descriptions. Okay, now you need to enter your RSS feed. So I'm going to go into Spreaker. So as you can see, I've deactivated the monetization on all my podcasts. So I'm going to go here into the Daniel Rosehill podcast. And I'm going to go into RSS settings. And I'm going to grab my RSS feed, copy this, and I'm going to give that to YouTube. Paste next. Now YouTube is checking your RSS feed, and you're going to need to verify the ownership. So YouTube should detect the verification email associated with your podcast. Mine is public@danielrosehill.com. So click on send code, and this is going to dispatch a verification code to your email, and then you just need to put that in, and that will verify you as the legitimate owner of the podcast. Okay, so I've just completed the verification. I got the code to my email, plugged it in there, and it said, hey, you're verified. Amazing. So now this is kind of most of the work has been done. So now you have a very important option, and it's important to pay attention to what's on the screen here. So it says choose which episodes you want to upload now. So what you can do is just say, hey, everything, just like dump it all in and create videos. Now, I don't want to do that because that's going to like overwhelm my subscribers with a bunch of old podcast episodes. And I've already uploaded a couple using the mechanism I described at the start. So the first one is upload all episodes in the RSS feed, 125 episodes in my feed. So that, again, that's what, if you want to do that, go ahead. But just to warn people, if you have a active podcast with like a few hundred episodes and you're connecting it to an established YouTube channel, you're going to like really overwhelm your subscribers. So just be careful before doing that. Another option, I really, really like the way they've created this, very clever, is that you can say, no, don't do everything, just do all the episodes after such and such a date, like 8th of January 2024, or you can say don't upload any old episodes, but do upload new episodes, right? So like going forward, this is the RSS feed now, nothing old, but the new ones do. So I'm actually going to go for that last option. Do not upload any old episodes. Now there's a little thing called paid promotion that you can undock. And it says here, paid promotion is when you are compensated to include a product or service in your episodes. If this occurred, you are required to let us know. We will alert viewers when your podcasts contain paid promotion. So if you have that, then you need to tick this episodes from my RSS feed to contain paid promotion. I have never really got that far in podcasting, so none of my episodes were ever paid to promote stuff. So I have an easy time. I don't need to click anything, but if you're a successful podcaster, you might need to. So this is good. So I'm saying no old episodes. I've got the feed, go on to the next stage. And that's basically it. So it's going to click on done. And now this is going to be connected. So this is what the podcast management page is going to look like after you've connected the RSS feed to YouTube. We can see what's different is that it has my RSS feed here. And there is the option to disconnect. So if you move over to a new podcast host, you can either redirect the old RSS feed, or you can disconnect and reconnect to your new RSS feed and go through those options again. So this process is pretty nice because it will be able to survive transitions in your podcast hosting, which for people who are not necessarily locked into their current podcast host long term, I think it's important to kind of take that long-term attitude. Another thing you can do here, another thing that's become available, is the default visibility. So you might want to have them as like private or unlisted by default so that you can like kind of tailor the description a little bit. Now remember, this is a one-way sync from podcast to YouTube. So you're not going to be able, if you change stuff on YouTube, it's not going to sync back. The RSS feed of your podcast doesn't have some magical way of pulling in the changes from YouTube and updating the podcast. So that might be a useful option if you do want to manually review, but I'm going to go for public, etc. And then we have the paid promotion box again, etc. So we're pretty good. We're nicely set up now. And now what I'm going to do is record a test podcast episode to see how this actually works in practice. Hello friends and subscribers, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Daniel Rosehill. This is a quick message to let you guys know that starting today, my podcast, the Daniel Rosehill Podcast, is going to be automatically syndicating onto this YouTube channel. That means that if you're already subscribed here on YouTube, you're also going to be getting my podcast episodes automatically showing up in your feed. Like my YouTube channel, my podcast is mostly about things to do with living in Jerusalem and Israel. So if that still sounds of interest to you, you can now look forward to podcasts on those same topics dropping in here on your feed. As ever, I'm only an email away for people who want to drop in with topic ideas for a future podcast. Please consider dropping me a line. It is public@danielrosehill.com, or also do consider dropping a comment here on YouTube. Both will reach me. Thanks a lot for your continued engagement. I look forward to creating some audio content and also sharing it with you guys here on YouTube. Until next time, have a really good day. Okay, so that was my audio message. It felt weird recording something for audio while I was also like recording this for YouTube. It actually took me like 6 attempts to do that voiceover because I had a friend once who watched me do a YouTube video, and he's like, wow, you can just like roll the camera and do a voiceover. I'm like, that actually extremely rarely happens. It's more like 10 times for even like a simple voiceover. So that was my voiceover, and I'm going to go now into Kdenlive. I'm going to convert that to MP3, and let's see if this all works. Okay, so I just extracted the audio from that announcement and worked on the EQ a little bit, and now I'm ready to upload it to my podcast. This is my podcast host, which is Spreaker. I got to Spreaker thanks to Reddit, actually, because I was looking for a podcast hosting platform that could do multiple shows really well, because I host I do a podcast for work, and I do this podcast and whatever. Folks recommended this, and it's been really good. I'm really, really happy with it, actually. It makes it like, it's really simple. It doesn't need to be complicated, podcast hosting. Okay, so I've just uploaded that, and what I'm going to do now is just like give it a quick name, and I'm going to go, so I'd be interested to see, I presume this is going to populate into the video. So I'm going to say, I'm thinking now, this is going to be popping up on my YouTube subscribers feed. But also this is going out as a podcast episode. So it's kind of like tricky to know what to say for both of those audiences. So I'm just going to say this podcast is now I guess, well, if people are getting me on YouTube, they'll want to say it's coming from me. So my podcast is now also here on YouTube. So this is going to be like a little bit irrelevant for my podcast subscribers, because they're going to be like, well, we're not on YouTube, but whatever, for this one episode. And then I'll just add a description. Thanks to YouTube's, I don't know when the podcasting feature was added. I keep thinking it was just arrived. I'm pretty sure it's still fairly recent. I'm just going to say anyway, thanks to YouTube's it's not maybe that new, but whatever. Thanks to YouTube's new podcasting feature, I'm now able to syndicate my podcast, the Daniel Rosehill podcast, to this YouTube channel. From now on, new episodes will automatically appear here on YouTube as they are published. Okay, so that's my podcast description. I'm going with my podcast cover art as the episode art. I'm not going to use a separate one. So I don't know how this is going to work. I'm really, really intrigued. And now that all there is to be done is to hit the publish button, and I'm going to say yes, publish. Okay, so this episode has now been added to my podcast. This podcast is now here on YouTube. Let me just verify that it's playing well and whatever. To my YouTube channel. This is Daniel Rosehill. This is a quick message to let you guys know that starting today, my podcast, the Daniel Rosehill podcast. All right, so the audio is fine, and I guess it's just a matter of waiting. So I'm going to go now into YouTube Studio and see if this has automatically prompted the new episode. Okay, so I've done absolutely nothing since I connected the RSS feed, and magic has already happened. The number here has gone from 1 to 2, so it's detected my new episode. And it's now got like this RSS logo that wasn't there before, just underneath the podcast description. So I guess that means that it's like connected. So I'm going to go now into my podcasts here, and episodes will be under videos. I'm just looking around, trying to maneuver around my webcam here. Amazing. So this podcast is now here on YouTube, has been published. It's only 54 seconds. And let's just take a look at what's happened. Hello friends and subscribers, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Daniel Rosehill. This is a quick message to let you guys know that, okay, so that's pretty great. So it's taken the episode cover art. The video, I mean, I usually scale these when I'm doing the manual method of putting podcasts on YouTube. I usually just lay them out in 16:9, but it's gone for, I think that's square. Is that 1:1? I'm pretty sure that's a 1:1 aspect ratio. Anyway, and it's taken the episode title as the video title. It's taken the episode description as the description, and it's now up on YouTube. The integration is perfect. It's now also showing up in my main YouTube content library, and it's gone out of my channel. And of course, I'm still able to edit the fields, but they do have these notes here that it's got the little logo here, video syncing from your RSS feed, view sync status, and you can just see the sync history. And there's a note here that this field is updating from the RSS feed, but if you change it in Studio, then we're going to stop pulling from the RSS feed. So my recommendation would be to not touch the podcast episodes in YouTube Studio, just like do all that editing in Studio so you don't mess things up. Even if you're not so happy with the description, do that in your podcast hosting platform, whatever you're using, and let that sync out to YouTube over RSS, because likewise it's got the same warning here that if you're going to tamper with this, we are going to stop updating it. Now the thumbnail, just to point out as well, it's pulled in my podcast cover art, which I'm actually okay with, because it's going to make it clear to subscribers that this is a podcast, because this is going to like go recur every time I do a podcast episode. So I'm not sure, like I have kind of mixed feelings about this and it's automatically also applied to the podcast as you'd expect, although you can tag it to additional playlists. I have kind of like mixed feelings about this. I'm thinking about this from the perspective of my subscribers, that they subscribe to a YouTube channel and now they're also going to be getting podcasts in their feed as they subscribe to me, right? There's no, to the best of my knowledge, you can't subscribe to a creator, just their video or just their podcast, or they're kind of getting it all at once. So this might be more useful if you want to create a new channel, YouTube channel for your podcast, so that your podcast goes to a separate YouTube channel. That would be one recommendation I'd have for brands or creators who are a little bit hesitant about how this is going to work. But if you just want to keep it simple, you can just dump in as many podcasts as you want, because you could do this with as many podcasts as you have. If you have 3 or 4 podcasts, you can just create 4 podcasts on that YouTube channel and sync them up all by RSS. And that could be a useful and powerful way of amplifying your content, so long as it doesn't annoy your subscribers too much, I would say. That's just my one word of caution I'm sounding. Hope this was helpful. If you're looking to get your podcast on YouTube, you can continue using the old way, but why do that when you can do this all automatically by simply having YouTube copy? One final thing that I wanted to check, people might know that I'm kind of a backup fiend and I'm sort of like very diligent about backing everything up. I wanted to see if you can actually download this video from your YouTube Studio. So I've just gone on to the automatically generated video here, and I actually do have the option. I also have this option called re-upload from RSS feed, which seems like I can manually push it again, but there is the download button and everything looks okay. So I've actually downloaded my video as MP4. And subscribers, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Daniel Rosehill. This is a quick message to let you guys know that starting today, my podcast, the Daniel Rosehill podcast, is going to be automatically syndicating onto this YouTube channel. Okay, so that's pretty great. So I have the here on YouTube. I have the MP4 there, so I can also like manually download these videos from YouTube Studio and add the podcast video that YouTube created for me into my backup workflow. And I just recommend people should do that, because don't just rely on YouTube as your only data source. Always keep your own content, whether it's video or audio or both, it doesn't matter. Just make sure this goes into your local machine, your NAS, whatever you want to do, put it somewhere that you have access to. I hope this has been helpful. I'm really actually very impressed, I have to say, by this technology from YouTube. This is very cool. And if you are a dual podcaster and YouTuber, and you want to make the process of getting stuff between platforms easier, I think this actually adds a lot of value for no cost. So why not use it? Thanks for watching. Until the next video.